Former deputy head of the Russian National Guard Viktor Strigunov has been detained in Moscow. A case has been opened against him for abuse of office and accepting bribes on an especially large scale. According to the investigation, in the fall of 2014, a state contract was concluded between the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs and OOSU Remstroytorg for the construction of a training center in the Kemerovo region. Control over the terms of its implementation was assigned to Viktor Strigunov. From 2012 to 2016, he headed the Siberian Regional Command of the internal troops of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and after the creation of the Russian National Guard, he became the commander of the Siberian District of the Russian National Guard. In 2014, Viktor Strigunov, having information about the existence of restrictions on the use of the training center due to the discrepancy between the area of the allocated land plot and the insignificant distance from the airport, gave instructions to subordinate officials to organize its construction, the investigative agency said, noting that the training center was not put into operation, and the state suffered damages in the amount of over 2 billion rubles. In addition, the case says that in 2012 to 2014, he allegedly received bribes from entrepreneurs in the amount of over 66 million rubles for general patronage in the implementation of large state contracts for construction work. It is not yet known whether Viktor Strigunov admitted guilt. In January 2020, President Vladimir Putin appointed a new first deputy head of the Russian National Guard. He was Colonel General Viktor Strigunov, who had previously headed the troops of the National Guard of the Siberian District. Already in 2023, he was transferred to advisor to the director of the Russian National Guard, Viktor Zolotov. A former deputy chief of the Russian Army's General Staff, Colonel General Khalil Arsenov, was sentenced to 17 years in prison on July 7 over a scheme involving the theft of over 1 billion rubles or $12.7 million from Defense Ministry contracts, Russia's state-owned TASS news agency reported. A closed-door military court found Arsenov and others guilty of embezzling millions from state contracts with Voentelecom, a company providing telecommunications services to the Russian military. Arsenov was also convicted of extorting a 12 million ruble or $152,400 bribe from the head of a military communications company. Two co-defendants, Colonel Pavel Kutikov and military pensioner Igor Yakovlev, received 7 and 6 years in prison, respectively. Arsenov, a former head of the Russian military's communications unit, served as deputy chief of the Army's General Staff from 2013 until his removal in 2020 and was named a colonel general in 2017. Russia's transport minister was found dead from a gunshot wound in an apparent suicide, investigators said Monday, news that broke hours after the Kremlin announced he had been dismissed by President Vladimir Putin. According to Associated Press, the Kremlin did not give a reason for the firing of Roman Starovoit, who served as transport minister since May 2024, and it was unclear when exactly he died and whether it was related to an alleged embezzlement case, as some Russian media suggested. Russia's investigative committee, the top criminal investigation agency, said the body of Starovoit, 53, was found with a gunshot wound in his car parked in Odintsovo, a neighborhood just west of the capital where members of Russia's elite live. A gun previously presented to him as an official gift was found next to his body. A criminal probe was launched into the death, and investigators saw suicide as the most likely cause, according to committee spokesperson Svetlana Petrenko, who did not say when Starovoit died. Russian media have reported that Starovoit's dismissal could have been linked to an investigation into the embezzlement of state funds allocated for building fortifications in the Kursk region, where he served as governor before being appointed transportation minister. The alleged embezzlement has been cited as one of the reasons for deficiencies in Russia's defensive lines that failed to stem a surprise Ukrainian incursion in the region launched in August 2024. In the stunning attack, Ukraine's battle-hardened mechanized units quickly overwhelmed lightly armed Russian border guards and inexperienced army conscripts. Hundreds were taken prisoner. The incursion was a humiliating blow to the Kremlin, the first time the country's territory was occupied by an invader since World War II. The Russian military had announced its troops had fully reclaimed the border territory in April, nearly 9 months after losing chunks of the region. Starovoit's successor as Kursk governor, Alexei Smirnov, stepped down in December and was arrested on embezzlement charges in April. Some Russian media have alleged that Starovoit also could have faced charges as part of the investigation. His dismissal also followed a weekend of travel chaos as Russian airports were forced to ground hundreds of flights due to Ukrainian drone attacks. Most commentators said, however, that the air traffic disruptions have become customary amid frequent Ukrainian drone raids and were unlikely to have triggered his dismissal. An official order releasing Starovoit from his post was published on the Kremlin's website Monday morning without giving a reason for his dismissal. Shortly before the news of Starovoit's death broke, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov refused to comment on the reasons behind his dismissal. Peskov praised Starovoit's replacement, Andrei Nikitin, who had been appointed deputy transport minister 5 months ago. Russia's former transport minister and former governor of Kursk region, Roman Starovoit, was found dead with gunshot wounds in his personal car on Monday, Russia's investigative committee said. Starovoit has reportedly shot himself with an honorary weapon awarded to him by the Ministry of Internal Affairs in 2023. His body was found in Moscow's Odintsovo district at his home by his personal security. The spokesperson of the investigative committee said that police investigators are working at the scene to determine the cause of death, adding that preliminary findings point to suicide. The day before his death, former Kursk region governor Alexei Smirnov, arrested on charges of embezzlement during the construction of fortification structures in the region, testified against Starovoit. On the same day, upon presidential decree, Starovoit was dismissed from office due to failure to perform his duties, including widespread transportation collapses, and his official termination became effective. As of today, authorities had issued a detention order in connection with the alleged embezzlement of around 15 billion rubles linked to fortification construction projects in Kursk region.